Construction Equipment wants to introduce our 225D excavator on high rail here. It's a self-propelled high rail, which when you jump on the high rail option, the machine is capable of traveling up to 16 miles an hour. It's shown here right now with our undercutter. Our undercutter is used for removing the mud out from underneath the ties. It actually goes in and actually cuts the ballast out from underneath the ties. And once you have it set across the tie, you can use the high rail to propel yourself back down the track, continuously removing the ballast. It's basically a standard John Deere 225D excavator with the high rail on there, so pretty much anything you could dream of using an excavator for, this one's capable of doing it. As far as lifting up rail and actually feeding and threading rail out, the thing's capable at a full extension in a straightforward pattern over top of the rail. It's capable of lifting up to 14,000 pounds fully extended. We're using a standard John Deere differential out of one of our payloaders. It's mounted into a framework using 2 cylinders that have lockout valves to hold the machine down so it doesn't actually drift while you're working. You have a valve over here that's used to raise and lower the hydraulics from the front and rear high rail. Up here you have a switch valve here to control whether or not you want to be propelled on the high rail or be propelled on the tracks. It uses the same 2 pumps to propel the tracks as it uses for propelling the high rail. It has 3 types of braking circuits on it. It's got a spring applied hydraulic release park brake. That the minute the machine's running and you put the handle down, that releases. With machine tramming, when you let off on the travel pedal, it goes into our counterbalance valve, and our counterbalance valve actually blocks the hydraulic return oil, bringing the machine to a stop just using the hydraulics itself going over the relief valve. And if any time you get into a predicament where you need to stop right away, if you step on the brake pedal up there, the standard John Deere differential also has a hydraulically applied brake system inside the differential. So if you're using the brake pedal, stop it just like a normal payloader would be able to stop. We offer it with a couple different options as far as track pads go. You can get the standard excavator track pad with the 3-bar grouser. In this case, we're showing it today with a vulcanized covering on that 3-bar grouser. This allows you to get off the rail at a regular road crossing without doing any damage to the asphalt. We also offer a 3-inch or 4-inch shorter on this side for getting through an Amtrak platform. So if you're working in the Amtrak area and you're worried about platform because of width, by bringing this 4 inches in shorter, it's able to clear the platforms, and it takes away a little bit of your ground pressure. So if you don't need it, go with the wider pad. So regular standard John Deere controls on the excavator, or it could be SAE depending on your preference there. Hydraulic lockout, full integrated diagnostic monitor built into this machine. We mount a Garmin here so that you follow FRA ruling and having your speedometer, so this will give you your actual ground speed when you're on the high rail. Emergency lockout button. We also offer a backup camera that's on there, so when you're working backwards you can see who's behind you. You can switch it over to camera 2 and it'll show, what it does is it shows the non-work side high rail, so that when you're trying to get yourself lined up for the high rail from excavator tracks, you can actually steer the machine to line up your high rail before you go ahead and put down the rear high rail. It only takes 5-6 seconds per side to raise or lower the high rail. So once you get yourself off, you can go ahead and tram. But if you're going to be starting to turn and doing heavy liftings off the side, you just go ahead and hit the button and drop your high rail back down the tracks. You can do all the work you have to. 5-6 seconds each side, you're back up on high rail and tram it down the highway. We have different configurations for pedals. This one here is when you're in the high rail configuration, you would just tram it. A side, B side, whichever direction you're headed there, it'll tram you in that direction. If you're working as an excavator, this here controls each track pad depending on the direction you want to go in. And then this here is on your high rail, this is what applies your John Deere brakes inside that rear differential, front and rear differential. By applying the foot brake, you apply more braking to it.